Ever get that feeling? Like when a news story pops up and you're like, oh, that's awful. But then, you just kind of scroll on.
Yeah, totally. It's like the news cycle just keeps going and going.
But what about the stories that kind of get buried, The ones that never really get solved. Today we're diving into one of those. 2 unsolved murders in London almost 50 years ago. Eve Stratford and Lynn Whedon. Ring any bells?
It's possible there might have been something recently, marking the anniversary. Eve Stratford was 22, a model, a Playboy bunny. She was found murdered back in March 1975 in her flat in Leighton. And then 6 months later, Lynn Whedon, only 16, a schoolgirl, she was found in an alleyway near her home in Hounslow.
So on the surface, like 2 totally separate, terrible events.
Right. And here's where things get really interesting and honestly pretty disturbing. We're going to unpack all the details. We've got a recent BBC News report on the case. And what we're going to try to figure out is what connects these 2 murders.
Yeah, because there is a connection. We'll get to that. But first, let's talk about Eve Stratford. What happened to her?
Well, the report, it goes into the details of how she was found. It was in her flat, like I said, March 75. And her neck had been slashed. It's brutal. But what really brings it home, makes it more than just a headline, is that the report actually includes some first-hand accounts from people who knew her, like her close friend, Sheen Doran. She was a Playboy bunny, too, and she shares these, really vivid memories of Eve.
I was struck by how close they seemed. Like, Sheen even used to stay over at Eve's place sometimes.
Yeah, they were definitely good friends. Sheen talks about going out to this pub, the Royal Standard, in Walthamstow, to see Eve's boyfriend, who was a singer. Just kind of paints a picture of their lives, 2 young women just trying to make it.
Totally. Makes you realize this isn't just some cold case. It's about real people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, something else that's interesting is how Sheen talks about the Playboy Club itself back then in Mayfair.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious about that. What was it actually like?
Well, it wasn't all, glamour and easy money. Sheen's pretty clear about that. It was hard work, like 10-hour shifts in heels. Can you imagine?
Oof, my feet hurt just thinking about it.
But she also says she felt safe. They had room managers and there were rules. No touching, stuff like that.
Okay, so maybe not the wild scene some people might imagine.
And get this, she mentions that families would actually come in during the daytime, like totally different vibe.
Wow, I would not have pictured that.
Right. So it was a complex place, not just this one-dimensional image.
Makes sense. So Eve, she was becoming more well-known, right?
Absolutely. The report mentions that she had actually been chosen as Mayfair magazine's Girl of the Month, the same month she was killed, March 75. And the police back then, their theory was that, well, maybe that's what made her a target, being in the magazine.
Oh, that's a chilling thought. Like, her success is what put her in danger.
It is. It's pretty scary to think about. And the report actually lays out the timeline from that day. So Eve had met with her agent and was walking home from Leytonstone Tube Station around 3:30 in the afternoon. Then, around 4:30, neighbors said they heard voices, a man and a woman, and a thud.
And then, less than an hour later?
Her boyfriend gets home, 5:20, and finds her.
God. I can't imagine what he went through finding her like that. And her friends. What about Sheen? How did she find out?
It's really sad. She talks about being on Oxford Street and seeing this Evening Standard headline, Bunny Girl Dead.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's rough. And she just knew immediately. So she and a friend, they rushed to the Playboy Club, and, well, that was basically it for Sheen. She decided to leave. Said it was all too much.
Understandable. I mean, how could you go back to that after something like that? It just shows you the ripple effect, how these crimes, they don't just impact the victim, they touch everyone around them.
Yeah, you're right. And then just 6 months later, like we said, Lynn Whedon is murdered. 16 years old, attacked in an alleyway near her home in Hounslow. The report says she was raped as well. It's just awful.
And at the time, no connection to Eve Stratford's murder.
Not that anyone could see, no. Just 2 horrible, seemingly random attacks. And for years, that's how it stayed. But then in 2004, things changed. And that's where this DNA link comes in.
This is the part that always blows my mind with these cold cases. How science can kind of reach back in time like that.
I know, it's incredible, really. So the report says that they found DNA on both victims, and it matched, meaning the same person was likely responsible for both murders.
So suddenly, these 2 cases that seem totally separate, they were linked.
It's a huge twist, right? And all because of advances in forensic technology.
It makes you wonder what other cold cases are just waiting for that one breakthrough.
Totally. And both of these murders, there's still active investigations. The BBC report makes that clear. The Met Police are still working on them.
That's got to be some kind of comfort, at least to the families. knowing that it's not forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. The case is being led by Detective Chief Inspector Allie Foxwell from the Specialist Crime Command. But of course, they're very tight-lipped about it.
Yeah, the article mentions that the Met Police said they wouldn't be giving a running commentary, which is understandable. They don't want to jeopardize anything. And they specifically said they don't identify anyone who might be under investigation.
Exactly. It's all very hush-hush, which makes sense. And one other thing the report makes clear is that so far, there's no evidence to link these two murders to any other cases.
So as far as we know, these two are it.
Right. Which, I mean, on the one hand, that might seem helpful, but on the other hand, it's like, that's all they've got.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. But it means the focus stays on Eve and Lynn and finding justice for them. And this year marked 50 years since Eve's murder. It's a long time.
I can't even imagine. The report mentioned that Sheen Doran and some of the other former bunnies, they sent flowers to Eve's grave to mark the anniversary.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful. After all this time, they're still remembering her, still thinking about her.
It says a lot about their bond and about Eve that even after 50 years, she's not forgotten.
It really makes you think about the lasting impact of these unsolved crimes on families, on friends.
Exactly. Like Sheen Doran's story, it's a reminder that these cases, they're not just files in a cabinet. They're about real people, real lives lost, and the people left behind who are still searching for answers.
So we're left with this huge mystery. Two young women murdered months apart in different parts of London, and years later we find out they're connected. But by who? Who did this? And will we ever know?
It's a question that haunts you, right? You've got the science that gives us this link, this tiny clue.
Right.
And it feels like we're so close to an answer. But we're not.
It's almost like knowing about the DNA match, it makes it even more frustrating because you feel like the answer is out there somewhere.
Definitely. And when you add in the human element, hearing from people like Sheen Doran, it just reinforces how important it is to keep these cases alive, to keep searching for the truth.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even though it's been 50 years, the impact is still felt. And maybe, just maybe, with the advances in forensic science and the dedication of people who work on these cold cases, maybe someday there will be answers.
Let's hope so. For Eve, for Lynn, and for everyone who loved them, it would be a testament to the fact that justice, even if it's delayed, is still worth fighting for.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder to all of us to never forget these cases, to keep asking questions, to keep the pressure on, because even the coldest cases, sometimes they can heat back up. And who knows, maybe someday soon we'll have another deep dive. And this time, we'll be talking about how these murders were finally solved.
I would love that.
Me too.